church. And there were a number of very brilliant clairvoyants in the church, and two of them, it's amazing having two people who did this, in one family, let alone one community. They were readers of the Akashic Records. Ralph Hand, who did this for about 60 years, and his daughter, Muriel Hand, who did this for about 50 years. And they were both full trance mediums. So I was aware of the Akashic Records when I was in my early 20s, and that's when this gift came upon me. And so I knew what it was. And what I had to do, I had to see what it was for me personally and why I got it. And if I wanted to proceed with it, I had to get trained.
Can you define what free will is for us and how the concept of free will comes very critically into play when you are looking in the context of the Akashic Records?
Yes. Good question.
Thank you.
Free will is only given to the human line of evolution. You know, there's the animal, vegetable, mineral kingdom, there's the angelic kingdom. And none of the other kingdoms have will. They have their jobs to do, they have to do them, that's it. But the human line of evolution has free will because God wants it that way. It's just as simple as that. Whatever God wants, God gets. And so we have free will so that we can make a free will decision to be victorious in our life or to make a mess of our life. It's our choice. And depending upon the choices that we make is the level of wisdom that comes into our life. Wisdom, of course, is the way we make a decision of what is right and what is wrong. And if we make a wrong decision, well, as they say, you do it right or you do it over. And so we come back for lifetime after lifetime until we get it right, until we make the right choice. So we get the same types, not the same exact type, because we would have to be in the same civilization, same time period, same race, religion, and so forth, and that's not possible. But we reincarnate time after time in various places in the world, countries, and with different religious bases and different languages and socioeconomic bases and vocations, but the same basic lesson. And we learn it until we get it until we learn it. And then we don't have to get that lesson anymore. If it comes to us in successive lifetimes, we can work with it and master it very quickly and go on to the next. And so free will is that tremendous opportunity to make a choice of what is right. People think that there's predestination. No, there really isn't. There's a predestined concept for you to make a contract, certainly to come into embodiment. However, there's all kinds of free will that we have in every day. You have the free will to pick up your arm and to put it down on the table. You can't take it back. I mean, it's that little. You can make a free will decision of what to eat or when to go to sleep. But I'm talking about the big stuff. And so it works hand in hand with the concept of karma or unfinished business.
Share what karma is from your translation as unfinished business, but how it ties into free will. For example, in your book, you explain this very intricately, that sometimes it's better not to use your free will. And that sometimes for us can present a kind of slippery slope. Like, what does that mean? You don't use your free will when it feels like you want to use your free will. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. It has to do, again, with what is knowledge and what is wisdom. Knowledge is the accumulation of information. And so we can get that from books and from lectures. People are getting it from what you and I are speaking about right now, Kim. Wisdom, however, as I said to you before, is what do we do with that knowledge? It's applied knowledge. And you make a decision based upon something that you are considering to do. And sometimes when you allow something to just work itself out and you don't make a decision, that is sometimes a way, I'm not saying the way, but a way to solve a problem. I'm not saying it's absolute in every possible way, but there's always a different way to do something. If you have the luxury of time to think about the assignment that you have. Karma can sometimes be called an assignment. I like it that way.
I love that.
Yeah, it's an assignment. And so any assignment is always going to bring you a problem that God is going to help you to solve. And so in some cases, when you don't want to use your free will, you can feel, well, I don't feel capable of making that decision. Well, if you don't feel capable, then don't do something. If you have the time to think about it, meditate on it, pray on it, and then make the best decision that you can, that's good. Always seek wisdom. Always seek wisdom. Sometimes not only you may feel incapable of making a decision, but you may feel unworthy. You may feel foolish. You can feel undesired by someone if you make a decision to do something. But you've got to make a decision at some point in time for the best. And I say to people when they say, well, how do I know what's the best? And this is the best example that I can give. Turn in your Bible to Genesis and take a look at the Exodus rather, and take a look at the 10 Commandments. I assure you they are not 10 suggestions. They are commandments, and we have all broken them. If you break one or bend it out of shape, you've got karma. And those are absolutes. Those 10 verses, very simple, and huge commentaries have been written about the 10 Commandments. The most difficult, I think, is to honor your father and mother. I really think that's the most difficult because we all have such issues with our parents. And to honor them, that doesn't mean it doesn't say to love them, it says to honor them. And so there is a big difference if you have the time to make a decision to think about it. Most of the time, however, we don't have the time to make a considered decision. And this is where accumulated wisdom comes in. Somewhere in the X number of decades that we have all lived, we have made decisions. Now, that you're driving in your car, you have to make a decision to turn right or to turn left or go straight ahead. And you don't have a lot of time. You have seconds to make that decision. It's got to be the right one. There are times, however, when you say, I have to call my Aunt Murgatroyd. I love that name, Murgatroyd.
That's a riotous name.
Yeah, don't you love it? I'm going to call my Aunt Murgatroyd. And you say, well, wait a minute. I haven't spoken to good old Murgy here in years. How about if I send her an email first, or I send her a little note first? Because maybe she'll feel she's old now, and she'll feel a little nonplussed. Why are you calling me? You haven't called me in 5 years. And so think about it. And so that is like one level. But if you have a sense of, Aunt Murgatroyd came to me and she's having a problem with her son, what can I do? Well, sometimes it's best not to interfere with a family matter. And you might say, Aunt Murgatroyd, I don't feel it's for me to do this. I can advise you on something that I feel that you might want to consider, but I can't call your son for you. You have to work this out yourself. And so that's another example of not getting involved and allowing someone else to do it. And there's a lot of people, Kim, that will come to us because we will be known for our wisdom, and they want us to solve their problems for them. Now, that's very handy-dandy, but it doesn't mean that we should, because where is the lesson for them? They don't have a lesson anymore. And we very conveniently solved the problem because we knew what the problem was. But what we have done is we have taken on their karma because we did not allow them to work it out themselves. That's an example of not doing something. And so this is where the wisdom comes in. Wisdom is you're choosing something. It's a way to decide something. And the more wisdom you have, if someone says to you, which would you have more of, knowledge or wisdom? Always choose the wisdom. Always. But you've got to have knowledge to base it on.
You speak of karma as pluses and minuses, almost like a cosmic accounting system, if you will. Can you explain that?